Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into this week's top waiver wire ads and streamable defenses for week 3 of the fantasy football season. I hope you guys have won your first 2 games. I hope you have set yourself up for making an early lead on your fellow league mates so you can get into that postseason by the time it gets to November. But with that being said, I'm going to dive right into today's video. As always, though, in case we do have any first-time listeners or any reminders of how this is formatted for you guys, in this waiver wire section, I'm going to give you guys my top quarterback ad of the week, my top running back ad of the week, wide receiver, tight end, and a flex ad of the week. And please keep in mind the names I'm going to talk about, they have to have at least 50% roster availability on Yahoo. So that way I challenge myself to maybe find some names that you guys are not hearing, or at least to make you guys aware that these guys might be available on the market in your league. So let's just go ahead and dive right into this with my top quarterback out of the week. You're looking probably at me crazy. You're probably wondering, is this 2012? But yes, it's Joe Flacco. I'll be honest, I was very hesitant to put Joe Flacco's name on the list today. But when you go into those, when you look at the roster percentage, you know, there are guys out there that might be in your league, like, for example, like, my last week quarterback out of the week, like a Carson Wentz or like a Trevor Lawrence I saw, where those guys are above the 50% threshold. They're at like anywhere, I want to say Carson's at like 53, and then I think Trevor Lawrence is at like 58%. So yeah, I would probably pick those guys over Joe Flacco. But other than that, the market is very thin, especially after you saw Dak Prescott got hurt, and then now we have Trey Lance, who is done for the season. So that's another, a team in your league that's going to be out there looking for a quarterback. And why I said Joe Flacco is, A, if you guys don't know this, Joe Flacco has the 3rd most passing yards in the league. And then B, look what he just did this past week in that epic comeback against the Browns in those last couple minutes of the game. He ended up finishing with 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have 2 rushes and 6 yards. Now, I don't think you should be counting on a floor of rushing yards from Joe every week. But when you look at the Jets, they are a team that could find themselves in a hole like they did the past week. So what does that mean? Joe Flacco is going to have plenty of opportunity, more than likely, where he's going to be looking where the Jets are going to need him to throw the ball as much as possible. And then I like the trios. I like the skill receivers they have there in New York for him. Obviously, I love a guy I'm going to talk about in Garrett Wilson. I was trying to tell you guys to make sure he was on your roster before this season. They also got Elijah Moore. They got Corey Davis. They got a nice set of tight ends, and Tyler Conklin and CJ Uzomah will be coming back from his injury. So, and then I do like Michael Carter and Breece Hall out of the backfield as receiving options for him. So he has guys to spread the ball to. Now this week they do have the Bengals. I do think the Bengals are going to have a get-right game against the Jets this weekend. But that's why I think Joe could be a sneaky, streamable quarterback for you this week, because I can see the Bengals, letting all their frustrations out on the Jets and going up big early, where Joe's going to have to throw the ball as much as he can. And plus, I mean, look at the Bengals defense. They haven't really done much, and they couldn't stop Cooper Rush last week, right? So that's why I think Joe might be a sneaky, streamable quarterback off the waiver wire this week. My running back out of the week, this is just a guy I think that shouldn't be above the 50% threshold on his availability on Yahoo. He's sitting at 57% of the leagues that he's available. It's Raheem Mostert, the running back in Miami that's splitting reps with Chase Edmonds. This past week in that another epic game, he had 11 rushes for 51 yards. He had 3 receptions for 28 yards on 3 targets. So you're talking about 14 touches that he got in a backup role. And if there would ever be a thing, or if anything ever happened where Chase Edmonds would get hurt, he would even see more of a higher volume. So I think there's no reason why you should not be picking up Raheem Mostert for your bench. I don't think he's a guy I want to pick up and pluck him in my lineup this week. They are facing the Bills. We just saw what that Bills defense did to Derrick Henry. But there is no reason for, if you need running back depth just in case injuries happen, or you got to start preparing for these bye weeks that are going to come up in the next few weeks, Raheem Mostert should be on your bench. My wide receiver out of the week, a guy I just kind of hinted at. Garrett Wilson, the young stud rookie wide receiver. He was my wide receiver one coming in this draft class. I love what I saw from him out of Ohio State, and he got to put his talent on display in that, and he caught that game-winning touchdown against Cleveland. Now, I don't know what happened after week one. I don't know. I did not see his roster availability before the first week. I know I was hammering home in my preseason videos for you guys to draft this guy and put him on your bench, but somehow he's available in 78% of the league. So I don't know if that first week scared you guys off, which I will go ahead and say. When you got these rookies, you got to be patient with them. Because you don't want to drop him too early like a Garrett Wilson. Now you're going to be fighting to get him back if you did make that decision. Now this past week against the against the Browns, he had the 8 receptions for 102 yards, 2 touchdowns, and what I love to see, double-digit targets. He had 14 targets in that game. Now, they did give him a rushing attempt. He only got -2 yards, but that does show that they manufactured a touch for Garrett Wilson. And you're looking at, if he gets all those targets as receptions, he would end up touching the ball 15 times as a wide receiver. And this week they got the Bengals, like I mentioned, which they are not looking like the greatest defense right now. And like I mentioned as well, I could see these Jets in comeback mode a lot. So Garrett Wilson's a guy where if he can see that consistent target load, he's going to be a guy that can help you win your league like Justin Jefferson did in his rookie season. My tight end out of the week, I'm gonna go with Irv Smith Jr., the Vikings tight end. I thought I don't necessarily think he showed great things. Obviously, he dropped that pass that would at least got him like 40 extra yards this past weekend and likely a touchdown. But he was heavily involved for the Vikings on Monday night against the Eagles, which showed that he was part of the game plan. This past week, he had the 5 receptions for 36 yards and a touchdown. And like I said, he gets another reception. He probably has another 40 yards and a second touchdown on Monday night. Now, if you guys remember what I said the last week, what I always look for when I'm looking for tight ends off the waiver wire is the targets. Because you want as many targets as you can, because with how weak the tight end position is, the more targets they get, the more likely they're going to get that touchdown that you're seeking out of your tight end. He had 8 targets against Philadelphia. Now this week they do have the Lions, which doesn't have the best passing defense in the league. And Logan Thomas, a tight end for Washington, caught a touchdown last week against Detroit. So Irv Smith, if he's available in your league, he might be a sneaky tight end streamer this week off the waiver wire. My flex ad of the week, I'm talking about the other Washington wide receiver I kind of mentioned last week, Jahan Dotson. He's available in 57% of the leagues. This past week, he did have against Detroit. He did have the 4 receptions for 59 yards, a touchdown, on 5 targets. Now his first 2 weeks, he's gone back-to-back weeks with only getting 5 targets. I do want to see him increase getting more targets, because as of right now, he's a touchdown dependent wide receiver, but it's only the first 2 weeks of the season. He's a rookie wide receiver that's in the first round, so he's going to be an integral part of the Washington offense. And as much as I hyped up Curtis Samuel last week, and rightfully so, he should be on your roster as well if he's available somehow still. If Curtis Samuel has an injury history, so if anything happens to him, or if anything happens to Terry McLaurin, also Jahan Dotson's going to even skyrocket in value. And I just think, like, for him and Garrett Wilson, there's no reason why those guys should be available in more than 50% of the leagues. They should be at least on the bench. This next week, he does have the Eagles, so it's a little bit of a tougher matchup for Washington. But there's no reason why he shouldn't be on your bench if you need a wide receiver. And if you're looking for a long-term play that can really continue to ascend as a rookie and blow up in the back half of the season, I think Jahan Dotson might be the guy for you at that position. So again, quarterback out of the week, Joe Flacco. Running back out of the week, Raheem Mostert. Wide receiver out of the week, Garrett Wilson. Tight end out of the week is Irv Smith Jr. The flex out of the week is Jahan Dotson. All right, guys, moving on to the next one. I had a rough go at it last week, I'll be honest. There were some games that did not go how I thought they were going to go, but that's the NFL for you. But let's go ahead and get into my top streamable defenses. And just like I told you, just in case we have any new time listeners, or in case I need to refresh anybody, these defenses I'm talking about, they have to be available in at least 50% of the leagues on Yahoo. So I'm really challenging myself. There might be some better options out there for you on the market, but if you're looking for a defense to stream, I think you can pick one of these 5, and I think they're worth the gamble. My top defense out of the week, I'm going with the Cowboys against the Giants. Yes, the Giants are 2-0, but that offense is still a work in progress. They still have Daniel Jones at the quarterback position, who is prone for a turnover or two. And then just look at Micah Parsons. That dude is unbelievable. He's likely going to be lining up at times against Evan Neal. I like what Evan Neal brings as a rookie tackle for New York, but you're going against Micah Parsons in your, 3rd game in the NFL. There's going to be some times, if not multiple times, that Parsons is going to get the best of the rookies. So I see a lot of sack potential for the Cowboys, which can help lead to those turnovers. And they're available in 58% of the leagues, just in case I did not get that out there. My second defense out of the week, I'm going with the Eagles against those Commanders. The Eagles are available in 67% of the leagues. We saw what they just did on Monday night against Kirk Cousins in that Vikings attack. I really like what Philadelphia has on defense. They have playmakers on all 3 levels of the ball. They have a loaded defensive front, and then they got guys like we saw Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, James Bradbury. They have so many guys in that secondary that can get those interceptions that we saw that the Philadelphia did last week. And then when you look at the Commanders' offense, sure, they can put up the yardage like they have, but we guys know Carson Wentz is always good for a turnover or two. The Commanders' starting center just got put on IR. So those guys, those Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, those guys in the middle of the Philadelphia defense are going to be able to blow up the middle of the inside pocket. And when Carson gets underneath that pressure and starts thinking too much, that's when you're going to get those bad Carson plays. So I could see sacks happening and turnovers happening by that Eagles defense throughout the matchup. My third out of the week, the streamable defense available of the week is going to be the Vikings against the Lions. The Vikings are available in 82% of the leagues. Yeah, I know the Detroit Lions they've been a feisty team. They've been looking good. They definitely got that big win against Washington. But the reason why I did this one is because I'm always willing to stream against Jared Goff, even though he's played good football. I saw some decent stat on him over the last 10 games. But he's still prone for those fumbles and an interception. And then this is a home game for Minnesota. For whatever reason, that stadium got insane energy whenever Minnesota plays at home. And for whatever reason, their defense just looks better and plays better at home. So when they got a matchup against a quarterback that I think can turn over the ball, I'm willing to gamble on it. They still got Zadarius Smith out front. They still got Danielle Hunter. They can get that pressure on Jared Goff. They can get those sacks. And then, like I said, if you guys that can create pressure, I'm willing to gamble on it because that pressure can help lead to turnovers. My number 4 streamable defense of the week, I am going to go with the matchup I already talked about, but on the opposite side, I'm going with the Giants against the Cowboys. And this is the reason why is kind of like I said last week against the Bengals, except the Bengals did not do what I don't know if the Bengals just weren't ready, but now there's at least a game of tape on what you can expect from the Dallas offense underneath Cooper Rush. So I'm willing to take a gamble. Now, this is for the Giants defense. You guys see 93% of the league. So this is probably going to be like if you're in a 12 or 14 team league where you would be willing to gamble on the Giants defense. But with that being said, it's Cooper Rush. So I'm willing to take the gamble that they can kind of figure out, not let those sloppy plays that the Bengals defense was doing, and then they can bottle up the rushing attack of Dallas and force Cooper to beat them. And then, maybe a guy like Xavier McKinney, they got like Julian Love in the back end, Dory Jackson, maybe somebody like that. And hopefully maybe the Giants also get Aziz Ojulari back and Kayvon Thibodeau back as their edge rushers. I don't know if they're going to be back this week. They did miss the last game, but if they're back, then I do like the potential where they can create the pressure on Cooper Rush. My number 5 streamable defense, this is strictly just because I'm just not the biggest believer in the Texans offense to put up a lot of points week in and week out, but I'm going to go with the Bears defense, available in 95% of the leagues. Again, just like the Giants defense, this is going to be like a 12 or 14 team league. where you stream the defenses, and it's mainly because I just don't think the Texans offense offers a lot of promise where they really could scare a team. I do think the Bears, they do got some guys on there like Robert Quinn, right? He can create the pressure, he can get the sacks. Roquan Smith's in the middle of the defense. He can be a playmaker for them. And then you got guys like Jalen Johnson in the back end of the defense, Eddie Jackson back there as well. Those guys can get those interceptions. So there is a slightly like a pathway where they can end up being one of the top performing fantasy defenses of the week, and I would not be surprised if that did happen. But again, the Giants and the Bears defenses are like super deep leagues. Again, my top 5 streamable defenses of this week: Cowboys against the Giants, Eagles against the Commanders, Vikings against the Lions, Giants against the Cowboys, and then the Bears against the Texans. So yeah, this is this week's waiver wire ads and streamable defenses. As always, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please hit the subscribe button. I want to continue to grow and get that number higher and higher. Try to get to 100 sooner than later. And then, as always, go tell a friend. Go check me out. If you enjoy the content that I produce, I hope your friends would. And then if you guys ever, I want to try to make sure I remember to say this at the end of my videos, but if you guys ever like want to reach out to me for fantasy advice, whether it's waiver wire ads, defenses, who should I start or sit, don't be afraid to either get in my comments of this video. I'll reply right back to you. You can follow me on Twitter at CodyTalksNFL. You can tweet me or even get into my DMs, and I'll respond and get back to you with any questions that you have. Then, of course, if you do know me on a personal level, you have my number. Don't be afraid to text me. You can call, but I don't really like talking on the phone, but you can text me, and I will definitely answer any questions that you have. Other than that, I'll be back with my starts and sits of the week. As always, that will come out on Thursday morning. But make sure you do subscribe to the channel, because if you subscribe to my channel, whenever my videos are posted, you're going to get that update, and you know that you can go watch it. I'll talk to you guys later, and enjoy your night.